Hi, welcome to Popular Opinions, where Hawkeye is a very underrated superhero. I'm Ronnie.
I'm Chris. I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. It probably is.
It is. He's severely underrated.
Yeah, everybody always talks about Cap and Iron Man. Nobody ever talks about Hawkeye.
And the Hawkeye comics are very good.
Except for Tumblr. Tumblr always talks about Hawkeye.
That's because it's Tumblr, where the minority is the majority most of the time.
Yeah, that's also true.
So, not a good judge for things. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. Since Destiny 2 just came out, we're going to talk about that. I am a longtime Destiny player. And Chris, how much have you played Destiny?
Maybe 5 hours.
Of Destiny 2.
Yep.
So, since you're new to Destiny 2 scene, a lot of people I know are going to be new to Destiny 2 scene. Some people are coming in for PC that never played Destiny 1. And some people that are playing D2 with me now never really played it. So, first what we're going to do is I want to hear your impression of Destiny 2 currently, and then I'm going to give us a rundown of Destiny 1 stuff that new players should know coming in. So this is going to be a very educational podcast this time. So, right now, as a very brand new player to this game, what are your thoughts on the game right now?
I like it. It reminds me a lot of Halo.
I
Probably because they're both
why.
made by Bungie, but I feel like it does really feel like a spiritual successor to Halo, though. And it feels
I
like
think it's supposed to be. They are not in the same universe, although I found out that in Halo 2, apparently, there's an Easter egg for Destiny 1 in the game.
Really?
Yeah, and in Halo 2, you walk down a hallway at one point, and there's a poster up for Destiny 1. That was before anyone but Bungie knew anything about Destiny.
Halo 2 came out so long ago,
I
though.
know. Apparently it's there.
It was like 2000. That came out in like 2004, I think.
Shows you how long it's been in,
Yeah.
Destiny's been in the works.
No, I like the game a lot. Normally I don't do shooters. I've been getting back into some of them. Like, I really want to try Battlefield 1, actually, because I like the World War I aesthetic of that game. But no, I really do enjoy like the class system and the skill trees and everything. They kind of lay everything out right in front of you when you do that. Like, I'm a robot titan. And,
Did you make an EXO?
yeah. And my favorite part of this game is punching aliens in the face.
Oh, the Titan Punch feels so good.
I
And
know.
what I'm really happy that they did with they did away with Blade Dancer for Hunter. I made a Hunter. And the Arc subclass that you got was that was the second subclass that you could unlock in Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of getting the stick, as I call it, when you popped your super, you got 2 knives in each hand, and you would skate around, and it's basically use it for ad clearing. You could try to take down the boss with it, but you're gonna die. So which I'm not gonna lie, I've tried to do too many times, but it was basically meant for ad clearing, and that was the Electro Arc subclass. It was very good in PvP. It was very good for ad clearing PvE. But that was replaced in D2 with what I call Electro Monk, because you get a quarterstaff instead, and it's kind of the same thing. Use it for single ad clearing, and you can basically one-shot big bads with it. Not like, the final boss or anything, but you can do a lot of damage with it. I didn't think I was going to like it at all, and I like it almost as much as Gunslinger now, and I played basically exclusively Gunslinger for a really long time, so...
What I do is I have the shield. I'm like Captain America robot.
Yeah,
And
I like that it makes a lot of sense for Defender. They got rid of the bubble, which I'm upset because instead of the shield, it used to be you stick your arms out and you make a purple bubble, and if you stand in it, then you can't get hurt. That's what Zavala does in the first mission.
I had heard, because back when I was working at AutoZone and I worked for my friend Rick,
Yeah.
he was telling me that the bubble system they kind of broke it, where there was a certain PvP level where like they would have like two Titans do bubbles and they would just move through and nobody would get hurt and they just get to their objective really quickly.
You can also you can exploit it in PvP also in D1. There is a point where we had two bubble Titans, and like I was playing with some friends and we had two bubble Titans on our team, so we would just like save up super, and especially when it was like the featured thing for Iron Banner, it respawned really, really fast. You got your super super fast, so you could just like pop your bubble, and then once it went away, the other person would just pop their bubble, and it was just a constant like stream of bubble. And so you have your whole like 6-person team in this bubble and only come out to shoot people, and like, no one died.
No, if there's anything more satisfying than the Titan punch just beating the shit out of a boss with the shield.
Oh man.
Because I always save my supers for boss fights. I don't really use them any other time. But no, I'm not very far into the campaign yet.
What was the last thing you did in the campaign?
I'm fighting the insect things on Titan. I'm currently on Titan.
Oh, so you're not very far.
No, I'm not very far at all. I'm still trying to find Tumor Face.
I mean, that's fine. You're fighting the Hive on Titan currently.
Yeah, which weren't as creepy as I thought they were gonna be, because
you should have seen how they're introduced in D1. When you're introduced to the Hive, it's hey, you have to get from point A to point B basically in this mission.
Okay.
You have to go through a pitch black room.
Okay.
And it's full of Hive, and you have to kill everything in there. It was terrifying. It's
Okay.
BioShock level creepy, and I was not a fan of that. I'm still not a fan of that, but the Hive are, I feel like, less creepy now. They're also less prominent, but that may change.
Well, okay, so what happened was I land in Titan, and then I'm just told, yeah, we're going to take out the Hive. I don't know what the Hive is, obviously, because I never played Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk into this room, my respawn gets taken away, and I just sort of look around the room, and what I see is gross shit that you would associate with bug aliens.
That's basically what the Hive are.
And
the quick synopsis of each race of bad guy, the Hive are basically like pirate scavenger bug things almost.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting
Vagabond
that.
type things, which I think the Fallen, or that was the Fallen, not the Hive.
Yeah.
Which, because the only thing that's really buggy about the Fallen is they have 4 arms instead of 2, and they have like 6 eyes. But other than that, they're more humanoid, and they're more kind of like, they're like scavenger vagabond type things.
They kind of remind me of the elites in Halo.
Yeah.
They have the same color scheme and everything.
Yeah, and like they're all named after like kind of like, because there's dregs, captains, vandals, and shanks are the Fallen, and then the Hive are hyper religious bug things. And that's exactly what they are, and they're a huge part of D1. It was the whole second expansion was Hive. And then you've got the Cabal, which are gross military dudes.
The sentient scrotums.
The sentient scrotums, as you call them. I didn't even know they were like living things in D1, because you never saw them without the helmet on. I just thought they were robots. Because when you shoot them, they explode into oil.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was thought that was supposed to be like their blood.
Okay.
And that's not true.
Well, that makes sense.
And then the other race is the Vex, which they're weird robo things that are obsessed with creating like the perfect like being master race, which is them. So they basically go to planets, destroy everything on it, and just like core out the shell.
So they're like Cybermen from
Yeah,
Doctor Who.
they're basically Cybermen, but less sentient.
Okay.
And they can teleport anywhere instantly.
All right.
So
that's interesting.
The Vex are more of a thing in like vanilla Destiny, and then we're pretty sure they're gonna be the next expansion for D2 though. But you haven't gotten that far, so I'm not gonna say anything else. So things you need to know about Destiny 1 to better understand Destiny 2.
Okay.
No one knows what the Traveler is. Don't ask.
Okay. He's
the-
not the guy on the cover?
No, he's not the guy on the cover.
Oh, okay.
The Traveler is the giant ping pong ball in the sky, as we call it.
Oh, okay.
That is our god.
And Gull's trying to Forrest Gump the Traveler. Okay, got it.
What?
You're playing ping pong.
Oh my god. Shut up. No, so...
My jokes are bad.
So, the best we can figure, around space race era, our time, the Traveler comes out of nowhere and terraforms the rest of the planets so that we can go there. So, Venus is still a hostile gas planet, but what the Traveler does, he uses the light to terraform it so we can go there. And we create bases on all these other planets in our solar system. So, Saturn, Venus, Mars, mostly, and then that's all we really know in D1 is like the current planets, and then Mercury, but Mercury was taken over by the Vex, so we don't go there anymore. So he terraforms all the planets and puts us into this golden age. So by the time that in the real world we would have been going to the moon for the first time, in Destiny we were going to Mars for the first time.
Okay.
So that's about how advanced, like, forward it is from what I can gather. So we're in this golden age, everything's great, and then the darkness comes. And the darkness takes the form of these hostile alien races, primarily the Fallen, and then later there's the Cabal and stuff. So they attack Earth so bad to the point where we're down to one city. And they wipe out 90% of our population. So the Traveler sacrifices itself, basically kills itself to create Guardians, which is who, it shoots out, the ghosts, or chunks of the Traveler, basically,
Okay.
that choose Guardians to push back the darkness. Guardians are not alive. Neither are they dead. So, with the help of the Guardians, we were able to create the walls around the last city, and that's our last, line of defense.
Okay.
So Golden Age is over. We're kind of in this weird middle ground. We're doing okay. We're not great. Darkness everywhere, basically. So how D1 starts is you get this cutscene where Ghost is floating around, and he finds you and resurrects you. And he's just like, you're alive. You know how long I've spent looking for you, blah, blah, blah. Because every ghost has a chosen guardian that they're looking for.
That's a little robot thing, right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Ghost. Was originally voiced by Peter Dinklage, and then they switched to Nolan North because it was more emotional, I guess. Which was how he was told to act it. Some people were mad about it. I don't know. I like Nolan North. So.
He's probably also... Peter Dinklage was probably also kind of busy with that other show he's on.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, he was very busy with Game of Thrones. And they didn't want to have to have him redo his lines a third time because they'd already had him redo them once. So, so he wakes you up, do the tutorial thing, and then you find a jump ship and go back to Earth, where it's kind of explained to you. You get a general idea of what the Traveler is. You're introduced to the Vanguard, Cade, Zavala, and Ikora for whatever class you picked. I'm in Hunter, so mine was Cade.
Mm-hmm.
You're introduced to the Fallen, which are weird scavenger bots, basically. Not bots, weird scavenger creature things. They're real spooky. And you kind of start to understand that, there's a general sense of evil going on, and you, start to, hone your light and whatever. And then eventually you are greeted by this person that we only know as the Stranger. She's not a Guardian, because she was not forged in light. She kind of made her own way. And it makes it seem like she's going to be super duper important. You're going to find out who she is, and she's going to be a main character. And once you finish the stuff with the Stranger, She never appears ever again, and we get no explanation for who she is. And I'm still mad about that.
Sounds like you got GS balled.
I'm sorry.
Did you ever watch Pokemon as a kid?
No.
Oh, okay. In Pokemon there was a storyline called about this Pokeball that they couldn't get open, and essentially it was supposed to contain Celebi, and they, Ash, Misty, and Brock were going everywhere trying to find somebody who can open this damn ball, and they ended up leaving it with some random character, and they never finished the storyline because they ended up doing a movie for Celebi. And the creator of the show literally said, "I thought everyone would have forgotten about it."
Oh my!
Nobody forgot about it.
Okay, so yeah, that's basically what happens. So you're doing all this stuff on Earth, and that's fine and dandy. You do your first strike. You're working for the Vanguard. You're becoming a soldier, basically, a guardian. Everything's great. And then you get a weird transmission from this person you find out is the stranger. She's an exo. And she basically is here to warn you, because she brings you to Venus, which you're supposed to be the first guardian to be on Venus in centuries.
Okay.
And she leads you there. You get patrol beacons set up there again, so that other guardians can come there. And she warns you about the Vex. Like, there's something big, bad, and evil going on with the Vex. She refers to them as evil so dark it despises other evil. I don't agree with that, but it's neither here nor there. And when you and your ghost are like, "Who are you? What's going on?" She has the infamous line, "I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain." And there was a quest called No Time to Explain, where you got basically the stranger's rifle, like her gun, but it was like it time traveled to get to you, I guess. I don't know. It was weird. The Vex are all about time travel and stuff. So all of this story was leading you to the first raid, which is the Vault of Glass. Actually, it's not the first raid. The second raid is Vault of Glass. The Vault of Glass is basically the deepest, darkest, inner working place with the Vex. You go in, you kill the bad guy, and it's fine. And that place doesn't exist in time, I guess, so you can just, fuck around in there once you're done with the raid. It's objectively the coolest raid. Not my favorite, but I like it a lot. So, the end of Vanilla D1 was finishing up the Vex stuff. Then there were 2 more expansions where you started to learn about the Awoken, which is the third race of, person you can be, because when you make your guardian, you can be a human, an exo, or an Awoken. Awoken are basically humans. They're like humanoid aliens.
I saw that when I was
We don't
choosing
really
race.
know much about them. Which, there's a funny thing, because you can make an Awoken, and in, the Stranger's, quest line, there's a part where your character's like, "Who are the Awoken?" And if you made an Awoken, it's just like, "I don't know, dude. Have you looked in a mirror?"
Yeah, I thought they looked weird, so I didn't.
The next couple expansions aren't super important. It opens up the Reef for you. You learn who Varix is, which is one of my favorite characters. He's basically the only Fallen who's good, because the Reef Queen, the Queen of the Awoken, I call her the Reef Queen, apparently.
The Reef Queen.
The Reef Queen. It was a useless social space. You literally only went there to talk to Petra and Varix, or if Zero was there. So, that's just kind of opens up that quest line where it's basically, there's this, House of Wolves was an evil, clan house of the Fallen. They're doing big bad thing. Leader real bad. Go stop him. Okay, and you do that, and Varix likes you a lot. The queen dies in some war. Everyone's sad about it, and then there's another expansion I don't remember at all, and that's how insignificant it was to me. The next, big expansion, though, was the Taken King. So, Taken King is, there's this dude named Oryx, you find out. In Vanilla, you kill his son Crota, which was, the leader of the Hive. Find out he's not really the leader of the Hive, but the son of the leader of the Hive, and you killed him.
Oh.
His dad is very angry.
Angry.
And he has found a way to corrupt other races. And basically, he makes, like, ghost forms of them, and it's called, like, taking them.
Okay.
So he corrupts them and takes control of them, and they show up, like, weird, like, shadow ghost things. They're super fucking annoying, because they're, like, 3 times harder to kill than, like, the regular versions of them, because they can duplicate themselves, and they can teleport.
Okay.
So, it's super annoying. I thought, like, it was really cool in thematics, because that's when the Dreadnought opened. The Dreadnought is basically this massive, like, hulking ship that's just planted in the rings of Saturn, just floating there, and that's where Oryx's domain is.
Okay.
Oryx is this giant, he is a giant hive king that's, like, 1,000,000 times the size of you, basically. And he has real big wings, and he's really scary, and that's where the third raid was King's Fall. It's the only raid I never was able to finish. Because it's really long and very buggy. It's fun, but you have to have a very dedicated team to get through it.
Okay.
After that was my favorite expansion, Rise of Iron. It's basically Lord of the Rings for Destiny.
Okay.
Because everything is, like, medieval, like, metal on metal clang sounds. You meet Saladin, who's, like, one of, like, the Crucible
Wait,
guys.
like you're fighting with swords and shit?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
that's neat.
Yeah, you get a sword called the Young Wolf's Howl. You meet Saladin, which we all call Salad Bowl. Well, Ryan and I called him Salad Bowl. You meet Shiro, one of my favorite characters. No one else likes Shiro but me, apparently. He basically is Cade 2.0, because he's just an exo hunter that sits on, in, like, the Fellwinter's. Fellwinter's Peak is this mountainy area in, the Cosmodrome, which is where you're in for the majority of, like, all of your Earth stuff is in, like, the Cosmodrome. You're in Russia. Slightly off to, like, the right is Fellwinter's Peak, is a big mountain, and then the Plague Lands, which is, like, error does not compute, do not go there, you will die. That's where you go for Rise of Iron.
Okay.
We are introduced to this weird and gross thing called Siva. Siva is basically a living, like, kind of technology. It's like a techno-infection, almost.
Okay.
So, it's this weird red stuff that, when exposed to other technology, it eats it, and,
Okay.
like, infinitely expands. And the Fallen find this stuff and start infusing it into themselves, so they're, like, 10 times stronger than regular Fallen.
There was a Teen Titans episode with something very similar.
It's not an original idea.
Yeah,
I thought it was really cool. It's cool and it's gross.
Yeah, because
But
it
it's
fucked
very
up.
annoying.
I remember Cyborg getting fucked up with something similar. I can't.
I know what
remember.
you're talking about. I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was called or what the episode was, but it's basically that.
Yeah.
Rise of Iron, there's a cool, like, meta that goes right along with Crucible, because before, all you knew about Crucible was you get all of, like, this, like, iron gear, and that's where Iron Banner comes in. In Crucible, there would be a 1 week every month where there's this thing called Iron Banner, where it's based on light level, well, what was light level is now power level. And you go fight each other, and you get extra stuff for it. So it's kind of just expanding on the background of, like, Iron Lords, which I thought was really cool, because it's all super medieval. But they also did, like, this weird middle ground where you have, like, this medieval aspect to it, but you also have, like, the weird techno-infection stuff, and it, like, goes together really well, and I thought it was really cool. And it's, like, the saddest part of Destiny 1, because you find out that all of these Iron Lords died trying to stop this stuff the first time, and it still managed to get back out.
Fuck.
And there's a part at the end where you go into, like, this chamber where they died that was meant to contain the Siva, and the Siva takes over their dead bodies, and you have to fight them.
That's fucked up.
It's very fucked up, and it's very sad, and I cried a lot the first time I had to do it. I was not happy.
That was, like,
It's super fucked up. And then if you look at, like, the backstory, there's, like, 2 Iron Lords and ladies from, like, each class. And if you, like, look into, like, the grimoire and the backstory for them, and you start to learn, you kind of get attached to these characters you have know nothing about, and then you have to fight them. There's a lot of cool stuff that happened in Rise of Iron, but it was also very fucked up and very sad. I liked it a lot, though. And that's, like, one of the major differences in Destiny 1 is a lot of the information that you got was through grimoire cards, where you would do certain things, you would go certain areas, you would go around and revive dead ghosts, which you literally basically had to treasure hunt for. And that's how you got grimoire, which is basically backstory on everything. And that's how you got most of the information on Destiny 1.
Okay.
They did away with that because a lot of people complained and thought it was stupid, and that's what turned a lot of people off of Destiny 1. Now it's all in the game. Which, I'm kind of going to miss that because there was a lot of... I'm a collection addict, and there was a ton of collection stuff in Destiny 1. And granted, this is vanilla Destiny 2, we haven't had any expansions yet, but I'm like, I miss my collection thing. I like the addictiveness,
sure something in there.
the addictive quality that I had for Destiny 1 is no longer there.
That's probably what, that's probably why you like Spyro so much too, isn't it?
I never really thought about that, but you're not wrong.
Well, I mean, because that's Spyro.
There's so much extra stuff to do in Spyro. That's why it took me so long.
Okay. So other unpopular opinion, because we're on that topic.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Banjo-Kazooie. Like, I'm gonna get.
My only
you know what? No, there's already an angry mob outside my house. Okay. No, it's just like, I don't mind collecting, but that's all that game is.
That's literally all that game is.
And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's like...
There's, like, no story from what I understand. I've watched Joe play it before.
There's a story, but, like, I just... What was it? Sean let me borrow it once. Mm-hmm. And I just found it really boring.
Yeah.
Alright, so anyway, back on the Destiny. You were talking about collectathons.
Alright, collectathon. There's a ton of stuff you collect. You collect ships, you collect shaders for your gear, you collected dead ghosts, which is how you got all the grimoire. Collected emblems, which is a little like colorful tag that goes above your like next to your character's name, basically. Mm-hmm. And you could collect sparrows. You have not gotten to a point where you can have a sparrow yet. You were just given one off the bat in Destiny 1. It is basically a speeder that you just like lean forward and ride on. And It's very like slim and like close to the ground.
It's like the Star Wars ones, or no?
They're different than the Star Wars ones because it's not like a speeder that like, you sit in. It's more like a bike.
Okay.
You'll get them out of Bright Engrams once you get to level 20.
Okay.
But they're some of the coolest things in Destiny 1. They even introduced like a racing mode in year 3 for sparrow racing, which no one really did, but I thought was a cool concept anyway. And that was like the thing that I was most interested in collecting because if I could have one thing from Destiny, it would be a sparrow. Yeah. I would probably crash it immediately and die, but it would be worth it.
No,
I swear to God, like, that's just kind of like the very short rundown on Destiny 1. So Traveler is Ping Pong Ball God. The speaker had little to no purpose in the story in Destiny 1 and has every purpose in Destiny 2. And he still has some really good cutscenes, and I'm really glad they're developing his character. Mm-hmm. He's also voiced by Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. I am convinced that he is secretly a squid-faced person.
Okay.
I really hope that when they finally do the speaker mask reveal, he's just a squid face. I know that they're not going to, but that is my theory, and I'm holding to it.
Seems like the game that would have like a pre-made outtake reel like Monsters Inc. did, and so like I feel like in end credits they might do that. I don't know. Man. That'd be funny if they did. Yeah, probably won't.
So the speaker like talks to the Traveler and it talks to him, kinda, and he's the one that we look to for guidance with the Traveler and everything. And he had like a whole office set up in the tower. And in certain, I know that you've already gotten to the point where you've seen a cutscene where you realize the speaker is being held captive by Gaul.
Yeah.
there's more of those, and those are some of the most powerful parts of Destiny 2. And I really hope that they expand on that more in the expansions, because they leave us on like a massive cliffhanger with him.
Okay.
By the end. There are a lot of things I like about Destiny 2. There are some things that I don't like, but
I found it funny playing Destiny 2 when I'm on the farm, and I didn't know that the game was fully online when I got this game. I did not know that.
Yeah, that was part of kind of what turned me off of Destiny in the first place. Like, you know a little bit of what my history was with Destiny. Joe tried really hard to get me into it when we were in like year 1/2, and I was just like, no. It was on my list of things that I never ever wanted to get into. And then Joe sent me an article outlining some of the backstory for my favorite gun, what became my favorite gun, Last Word.
Okay.
Last Word is hand cannon in every way, shape, and form. There's a skin for it that looks like an old like sheriff's pistol, and that was the one that I used. But the whole backstory for that is there was this guardian named Jaren Ward, kind of before guardians were really a thing, and he's a gunslinger.
Okay.
Outlaw, whatever. Kind of lone wolf. And what happens is he's kind of like doing his own thing. He takes on this apprentice whose name escapes me, and the last word goes to him. So what happens is this apprentice takes the last word, and he's kind of who makes it famous. Jaren Ward was the maker and the original owner of the gun, and then his protege wanders into this town one day that's being held captive and overrun by this tyrant dude, who, as he's wandering through this town, gets ambushed by this dude and his gang of whatever they would have been back then. And he's going to kill him. He's just going to execute him because he doesn't like him, I guess. And because he's an outlaw and doesn't conform to his rules. So he's surrounded by these dudes, his cronies or whatever. And he's got him at gunpoint in this circle. And he says, "Do you have any last words?" And he says, "Yours." And he's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Yours, not mine." Murders him and all of his dudes.
Shit.
In like 6 shots.
That's awesome.
And that is the most Western thing in a space game I have ever heard. And just reading this article and looking at this, I'm just like, shit. That's really cool. The Last Word had a sister gun that was like the evil gun. It was called the Thorn. And there's this basically corrupted guardian gone bad called Dredgen Yor. And I know when you're on Titan, if you're standing next to Sloane, she says something about him. I didn't quite catch what it was, so I'm gonna see if I can get her to say it again, or if I can just like hear it. Because they'll say a lot of the same voice lines when you're just standing near them. So I'm really hoping I can hear it again, because it's like one of my favorite things. I'm really glad that they like threw that back in there, even though the Last Word's not in the game anymore. But that was kind of the thing that got me into it. And there's a lot of backstory stuff on Destiny 1 that's really, really cool. I read pretty much all of the grimoire in the game before I even touched the game in real life, because it's super cool and interesting and it's so immersive. And that's kind of one of the things that like concerned me about Destiny 2, because it's so geared for old-time players that I feel like new players, as cool as it is and as much as they might want to play it, might be a little intimidated by it because there's so much there that they don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of like that a little bit, but the thing about it is, as a new player, I was really confused at first, but by the time I met the tea drinking badass sniper in the church,
Devrim, I love him so much.
by the time I met him, I understood what was going on, and it doesn't take very long to figure it out.
You don't necessarily need all of the grimoire, but I know that there are going to be some people that do want it, and my explanation in no way or shape or form does it justice. So if people want to do it, there is or want to know what's going on without playing Destiny 1, there is a website called the Ishtar Collective that has every scrap of Grimoire information on it from Destiny 1, so you can go through.
Right.
It's all very organized, and you can go through and read it that way.
Go read through it. Something else I found kind of funny was when I was on the farm.
R.I.P. Farm 2017 to 2017.
And because I didn't know. I didn't know that it was a strictly online game at first, because when I first plugged the game in and I got to the farm, I was alone because there weren't a whole lot of people on the time because it was kind of late at night.
You also have to get to a certain level before you can even play with other people. It was like that in Destiny 1 too.
Oh, okay.
I think you couldn't. I don't think you could play with other people until you hit like level 8 or 9. Now you can play with other people at like level 3.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, I hit level 3 and I get back to the farm, and I find it hilarious that I'm seeing all these, quote, last guardians running around the farm and talking to people.
That's the thing is, like, your whole thing in Destiny 1 is, like, you were, like, the best, biggest, baddest guardian that there had ever been. You killed Crota, you defeated Oryx, you put Skolas in prison, you did all of this stuff, you killed Atheon, like, which is the biggest, baddest, like, Vex mind that there ever was. But so did everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's just, like...
It's like,
Like, you're supposed to be this chosen guardian, and they made that, like, even worse in D2, because you are the chosen one. Zavala even says that you're the chosen one.
It's hilarious.
Because you're the only one to get your light back. It's no one else, just you.
Yeah.
Like, you're the only one who
just
had the
you
wherewithal.
and all these other people.
Because all the other guardians are basically supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be, like, number one.
Yeah.
Guardian, like the only one that's left, basically.
No,
but then you get to this multiplayer stuff, and it's just like, hey, I did that too.
Yeah. But like, no, it reminds me of I don't know if you've played Elder Scrolls Online or if you've seen Joe play Elder Scrolls Online, but in the beginning of Elder Scrolls Online, from what I've heard, you get called the Chosen One that's going to save the realm, and you have to go through this portal with 50 other chosen ones also going through this portal. And they should really just, maybe it's a nitpick, but they should really just not put a chosen one plot in an online game.
Yeah.
It really sort of breaks the immersion.
It's still fun though, because like you go through a lot of the time you go through the story missions by yourself. So that's where like kind of like the single player is, especially with your subclass quests that you'll get to later. But then you still have to develop strike teams and raid teams and stuff because one guardian can't take on the Leviathan by themselves.
Yeah. Like,
that's not as powerful as you are. There's no way.
Yeah. I should probably call it around here.
Okay.
So
to wrap up, I probably did a very terrible job of explaining things.
I think you gave a decent rundown.
Okay. But yeah, Ishtar Collective for anyone else who wants to read up on D1 that might be going to D2 blind. Do you have any questions to ask me as we wrap up here?
Not really. Went over pretty well.
Yeah, I tried. All right.
Toodaloo.